Well, hello, everybody. I'm Tracy Mack, your professional peacemaker and host of Black Women's World Podcast. Listen, as you can see, for those of you who are watching, my two dynamic co-hosts, Javon Cookie Jones and Dina Hamilton, are not with me today. And for those of you who can hear me, you won't hear them chime in on this particular episode. And I'm just going to keep it real with you. It is because, and only because, our schedules just did not sync. And that happens more often than not. We're all busy women, and we all take care of a lot of different things. So between being, women, Black women, taking care of our homes, all three of us are entrepreneurs. We have different business ventures that we're involved in, our civic and our community responsibilities. We have parents that we cater to, children that we cater to. So our schedules don't always sync, because this is one of those times. But I do believe all things work together for good, because today I want to say thank you. I started Black Women's World Podcast a year ago on September 1st. We released the trailer. The first full episode was not published until September 17th. But today is the day that we announced Black Women's World Podcast to the world, literally. And I'm so grateful, I just want to go over a few things that have happened in the year. But most of all, I just want to thank you forever and ever and ever. I know that's a song we sing to Jesus, but I'm going to tell you, God, Jesus uses people, and people from all over the world who have connected with Black Women's World Podcast. Just to just recap some things, it was a rough start. I'm going to lean in because I'm just going to be really vulnerable with you. It was a rough start because I was happy about it. Those of you who haven't heard my why of starting the podcast, I had seen the Beyonce's video when she did her take on the King. And a few days later, I saw Cardi B's video. Wow, her and Meg Thee Stallion. And I have no judgment. I do not speak ill of Black women. If that's, you like that, you like that. But what I didn't see was a lot of Black women. And I said that those videos, the world was exposed to them. And I was like, there's so many Black women who don't represent that type of lifestyle. So many Black women I know who deserve to be celebrated, who I wish the world knew. I wish the world knew some of these amazing Black women who I coined and affectionately call SistaNistas. If you want to go back and listen to the episode about what a SistaNista is, it's one titled that, and it's another episode at the very beginning called Straight Out the Gate, where I describe what a SistaNista is. And just in short, a SistaNista is a Black woman who owns her beauty, who owns who she is, her moxie, her style, her royalty, her class, unapologetically. Even though we cater to Black women and SistaNistas, we are not anti anyone else unless you don't love us. Then you've set the tone. But I am so grateful, and I'm grateful to God and to you. But as I was saying, it was a rough start because early on, and even now, I got more DMs and hate from trolls, racist people, than I got support, than I got testimonials. And even every now and then they'll raise their head. But it was hard because I had all this excitement, this zeal. Yes, I'm going to celebrate the Black woman. I'm going to let the world know how wonderful we really are. And my intentions were set. But, sometimes people come against you that mean no good. And because the trolls and the hate and just the visceral energy that I was receiving, DMs, even emails, it just blew me back. And I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten into? And it hindered me, but it didn't stop me. And some days, like I said, I still now get discouraged because of the hate seems to outweigh the support, but I'm not going to stop. It's just the way it is. But, it was a rough start. So I coined the phrase SistaNista to affectionately refer to Black women. Javon, Dana, and I, we wear our T-shirts to promote the show. And that, too, is just the easy way that I don't have to find something to wear every time we record. I'm just simple and laid back. What you see is what you get. And that's what I want the show to demonstrate, my own authenticity. One of the reasons why I know at times some Black women don't choose to chime in or don't find the show to their liking is because, I'm not into a lot of fashion. We don't discuss. I really don't care about your hair or what you wear. I just love you as a Black woman. And so there are other entities and outlets that cater to that. But the heart, the mind, the soul, the spirit of a Black woman's world is what I am here to not only cater to illuminate, but to talk about. We live in a world where, yes, people of all races, shapes, ages go through a lot of things. But Black women, we have a unique position in life. We have been the most underserved, the most underpaid, the most neglected, the most abused, but yet we are the most dynamic. We're the strongest. We're mighty. We're resilient. Talk about all of that in this episode. What a SistaNista is. We don garments of brilliance and strength, moxie and class, tenacity. We are all that plus some. And the purpose of this podcast is to illuminate that the everyday Black woman who may not get the star power, who's not the celebrity, the teacher, the mom, the entrepreneur, the politician, the social worker, the clergy member, the pastor. We are in every industry. We are everywhere. The Olympians, like I said, the stars, we don't discount them because those SistaNistas are doing some wonderful things. But it's also some of us who are not celebrated by the masses, some of us who don't have the platforms for millions. And so I wanted to illuminate us. And so that's what Black Women's World Podcast is all about, sharing with one another what's going on in our world, and also sharing with the world about who we are. But that's what it is. And then we have reached over 10,000 unique downloads. We have been downloaded in 48 different countries and 238 cities. I'm looking down because I wanted to make sure I got the numbers right for you. And I'm so proud of that. I'm so grateful to God for that, because sometimes, even as Dina has said on one of the prior shows, sometimes, and it happened to Jesus, you're without honor in your homeland. And it's not that people don't honor us, but sometimes we get way more celebratory testimonials and connections and downloads from people in other cities and other countries more than we do our own. And that's okay, because that's just the way it is. And so I'm thankful for those people who are homegrown, those people in North Carolina and areas where I lived and grew up in, Havelock, and my home. I'm originally from Portsmouth, Virginia, and Javon lives in Portsmouth, and Dina is from here in North Carolina. So the Holly Springs and Wake County area, your support has been awesome. But we thank you for it. But the cities of Atlanta and Texas, Houston and Dallas and Pasadena, California, and New York, Chicago, you all, you come in as our top five cities on a weekly basis, and being in countries that I never thought we'd be in. I didn't think about Germany. I don't know if the listeners are actually Black women or people just who we have coined as SistaNista lovers. So if you're not a Black woman, if you love us, we love you too. So people in Germany and France. France is one of our most consistent listeners, the country of France. And even I was surprised that Australia and so many other countries. So I was like, oh my goodness. Now the first season we switched platforms midstream, because one of the platforms I wasn't trusting the numbers for the downloads and who was listening and how long they were listening. So we switched to a different platform where the numbers and the downloads are authenticated. And so I'm grateful for that, because it allows us to see who's listening, what they like, so we can cater to them. And it also allows us to expand our reach. We had plans of going to our top 5 cities, but because of COVID and our schedules, those things haven't kicked off yet. So those are some things we're looking forward to doing in the future, to actually show up where we're celebrated and meet some of our listening audience, as well as make ourselves known in those areas. So I'm so grateful for that. And first season on the other platform, I was able to do music. So there were several, I think a total of 3, maybe 4 episodes I titled Auditory Medicine, where I was integrating music in the show, which is my dream. I would love to have a show, and I've lived that dream on a small scale, but being able to, because I love music. Music is my auditory medicine. I go into that love. So if you want to go back and listen to some of those previous episodes, I think you really love the music. We do a gospel version, a jazz version, an old school version of music, and I tell you how I came to call music my first best friend. But the new platform does not allow music without licensing agreements, and so that's not something we're able to do. So there's some things I'm looking at and some opportunities I would love to have a show where I can incorporate music without paying the price of copyright issues. So that's some of the things in going forward. So, and as y'all can see, like I said, we wear our SistaNista t-shirts when we can, because sometimes if we're coming to or from a particular place, Javon or Dina may not have time to switch up, and I totally understand it. But we do have shirts available if you'd like to order them, to not only represent the brand, but to represent the spirit of being a SistaNista, a strong Black woman who is educated, whether it be formally through experience or from the school of hard knocks. You know who you are unapologetically. Yeah, we have some issues. All of us do. We have some challenges, but we know how to overcome. We've been overcoming for centuries and for years, and we will do no less. And so I just honor the Black woman for the queens that we are. So no matter what country you're listening from, no matter what state or city, we have a lot of things in common, and we can help and support one another. I'm grateful for the guests that I've had on. I wanted more guests to be on than I've had, but because of conflict issues and because of some, I'm going to keep keeping it real. There's some guests that I did record with who had a different agenda than what I know the show promotes. I'm not into being catty. I'm not into being argumentative. That's just not the platform of this show. And so there are some things that we do talk about that are controversial, but do you have a solution for it? So it's not just the sake of bringing up things to bring up things. I'm not too much into entertainment, even though we'll mention shows, we may mention the news, those type things, but there are other platforms that cater to those type of things, the trendy things. I like to say that what we talk about here is not a trend, it's the truth. And the truth lasts forever, and it's also priceless. I don't put those down because I listen to some of them. And as a matter of fact, in starting a podcast, it was also a rough start because a lot of people who we were catering to at the time didn't know what a podcast was. And I didn't mind explaining it to them and the technology of it, how it works and what it is. And of course, more people know now because podcasting has been around for a long time. I know 10 or more years, or maybe longer than that, even before I started listening to podcasts, maybe 4 years ago, before I started this one. And I will say that it was due to the pandemic, was also why I started the podcast. The first was I wanted to illuminate Black women and show how brilliant and wonderful we really are. But also people were at home more, so they had time to listen, working from home and not going out because of the lockdown. So it was a perfect time for me to, integrate podcasting. My job as a coach and a trainer had shifted, and I wanted to give people hope and encouragement and let Black women know as well as other people know that you're not alone. The things you're going through, other people experience them, Tracy Mack. But, sharing is caring. And so sometimes knowing that you are not alone, I put up a post on social media the other day, being a woman of a certain age, talking about hot flashes. I don't know how many women commented publicly and then hit me on text and DMs talking about, girl, something as simple, and hot flashes are so ghetto. But anyway, but just something as simple as dealing with our children, the things we're having to shift during the pandemic, because our relationships and all those things have shifted. Some people are trying to force the old normal back on us that will never be. But what the new normal looks like, or what is normal. So these are things that we kind of try to flesh out during the podcast episodes. Javon and Dina, they have been so candid, sharing their personal lives, just being vulnerable. And one of the episodes we had Latanya Jr. on, where we talked about vulnerability being a strength and a strategy. And my God, that is so true. We've come to know that to be true, because most of the testimonials that I've received about the podcast come from when we've been the most vulnerable, and allows people to be vulnerable with us, so we come up with a solution. One of the beautiful things that have happened since the podcast is because of the commercial spots I was providing on my own episodes, I was asked to do some commercial spots for other episodes. And that led to those commercial spots, to doing some commercials for people I know, to doing voiceover work. And that's a blessing, because for years I had been joked and touted about the register of my voice, my speaking voice being so heavy. But that is the very thing that wins people, the warmth that people have found it to be. So the voiceover work was something totally unexpected. So I encourage you, if you're doing something you're not quite sure if you should go in a certain direction, just be open to it, just shifting into something else. Because like I said, the start was rough. I was discouraged. It's still some things I have not incorporated that I initially intended to incorporate, because it knocked the wind out of my sail. It didn't stop the boat from floating, but it did knock the wind out of my sail. So those of you who have stood with us and listened to every episode, you can't listen to them live or when they're first published, but all of them can be replayed. We did just podcast only the first season, and then season 2, we went into video casting and started a YouTube channel. Tracy Mack, Black Women's World Podcast YouTube channel is live. We don't get as many people on that, so you're welcome to subscribe to that. So you can hear and see us and our guests. We had Jill Morris with Carnella Hill, like I said, Latanya Jr. I had my parents on as guests, my husband and my daughter, because I felt like if you can't see that it works in my home, I don't need to be talking about it. And so we are not perfect, and even we work out our imperfections live and living color on air. So I always, that's something that means something to me, that if it works at home, my marriage is not perfect, but we choose to be together and we love each other. And so we talk about those things on one of the episodes, Black Love. I think we did 2 parts, part 1 and 2. I did an episode with our daughter, Jada. She's a Zennial and I'm Generation X. So it's called Generation X YZ, and we talk about candidly things that generations experience that are same, and some things that are different. And my parents divorced after 48 years of marriage, and we talk about that on an episode. And so as a woman, a wife, an entrepreneur, a coach, a soror, I'm part of a Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated. A lot of things happen in life that we find in common. We reach people wherever we are. So I hope that the podcast has reached and continues to reach Black women worldwide, as well as those who love us. Now, for production's sake, I get on and I just do this as a best-selling author, as a speaker and a coach, and a teacher. I talk, but as a coach, I also listen. So I want to listen to you. Any topics that you want us to talk about, let us know. And you can do that by emailing me at peace@blackwomensworldpodcast.com. We also have a Facebook group. It's private for now. It's Black Women's World Podcast, and I had to make it private. I originally made it public, but because of the trolls, I wanted not only to protect myself, but the women who chose to be with me. So Javon, Dina, and I, we're all administrators for that group. And but it's not because I didn't want people to know about it. I mean, after all, the podcast is public, so why not make the Facebook group or the community public? But because of the trolls, that I did not want to submit those who want to be with me to that foolishness. And so it's private, but it's on Facebook. Black Women's World Podcast with Tracy Mack. You can go out and find it. I can provide the link down in the show notes. And we have the opportunities to connect with Dina. Dina's in real estate. You can connect with her, commercial and residential real estate. Her daughters, who we do promos for them, Sweet and Savory Sisters. They have a baking business, and you can we talk about that on one of the episodes. Javon Cookie Jones, she has Flutterism Beauty and Cosmetics, where she has her own cosmetic line. She does we call them man wigs, but people who deal with alopecia, men and women. I forget, Javon, the scientific name of it, so forgive me, but she does that. She also owns Kapow Training Center, self-defense with firearms for women. All three of us are firearms owners. I'm probably a little more rusty than the other two, than Javon and Dina, but we just choose to own firearms, and Javon chooses to offer that firearms training for women mainly, but men come to her trainings as well. In the state of Virginia, she's the first Black-owned firearms training center in the state. So I'm proud of her for that. She's also, as many of you know, my first cousin. Our mothers and sisters. And so I wanted the podcast to consist of two of my other great girlfriends that I still love, but it just didn't work out. No love lost for them, and they have lost no love for me. But I wanted them to be in it because I know they're brilliant, what they offer to the world, and I wanted people to see them and recognize them. So I talk about them because of scheduling and other issues going on in life, and just the way life is set up. They're not able to be a part of the show. But I celebrate them, and I celebrate our relationships as sister friends. And so I just wanted to come on what's for the future coming up for Black Women's World Podcast. I honestly have to say, I don't know, because of the fact I'm so fluid with it. I would love to have more guests on, as promised in the first season and second season. So if you would like to be a guest, feel free to email me at the same address, peace@blackwomen'sworld.com. We do have a vetting process, and it doesn't mean if you're not chosen that we don't like you. It's just the tone of the show that we may want to set for that time, and maybe we can revisit your request at another time. Or if you know somebody who you'd like to see us interview and connect with, send us that information as well. So I thank God. I thank you. I just want to thank you. Hey, forever. I'm just grateful. So I am so grateful to you and for you. So, and last but not least, I want to thank my husband, Owen, who many of you don't know. He does all the production work, all of the original graphics, the music. I want to thank Tim Watson, who created our theme music, the intro and the outro. Thank him so much for doing that. Tim is a longtime friend. We go way back. His music can be found everywhere, timwatsonmusic.com. So I'm grateful to him for that. Grateful to my parents again for coming on and being vulnerable, and for teaching me ways to serve. And one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to always serve because service is the highest call. So this is one of my ways to serve. So again, thank you so much for being with me from wherever you are in the world. Much love and peace to you. Connect with me however you choose, whenever you like. I'm going to be around as long as purpose, mission, and passion calls for it. So again, I'm not quite sure. I know we're going to go into season 3. How often we record will kind of be fluid. What we talk about will be fluid, because I believe that's how the world works, and that's what the world is calling for. Yeah, sometimes you can plan so far out, you can become irrelevant. So I want to make sure that what we're talking about makes sense and works in your world and encourages and inspires you as best as I know how. So again, I'm Tracy Mack of Black Women's World Podcast. That's the BWWP, baby. Much love and peace. You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by Tracy Mack Solutions for Life Institute, coaching and training services. No doubt you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomen'sworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of SistaNistas and SistaNista lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary, because that's just what SistaNistas do, on purpose through mission with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my SistaNista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, Tracy Mack. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.